Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM. We welcome you all back to our program. Also, those tuning in through online affiliates around the world, we're glad that you all could join us, including our iHeartRadio family. We're glad that you could be with us as well. I was just saying to our next guest, it's hard to believe, but it's been 2 years since Kristina Anapau has been on the program with us, but she's definitely been busy in that time, including with her new film called Kuleana. We're going to talk to Kristina not only about the new project, but also what it's been like for her to bring great stories to life and to be able to see the response from you, the audience. Kristina, hello to you, and welcome back to the program.
Hello. Thank you much for having me back. I'm excited to be here.
Well, look, the pleasure's definitely all mine. Kristina, I'm so proud of all the great things that you've been doing. I mean, since you and I initially connected a few years back and then to be able to meet you in 2016, it was great to be able to see the excitement you have for acting and also entrepreneurship, I should say, as well. What has it been like for you to kind of see it all kind of come together and to see projects like Kuleana be able to be received the way that it is?
Well, the response has been incredible this past opening weekend. Beyond what any of us expected. I think that there's so much interest in the film expanding to new cities in the country and in the world. It sold out this whole last weekend. It actually came in one of the theaters, number 2. The Steven Spielberg movie came in number 1, and Kuleana came in number 2. So that's pretty good.
Right.
We're very happy with that. And yeah, it's been incredible. It's always wonderful to be fully engaged in creating new projects and developing new ideas, and clearly to see them come to fruition and to have so much success like Kuleana's having is incredible. Although I have to say my kudos goes to Brian Cohn, the writer, director, producer, because he had been developing the script for about 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And he's the powerhouse behind all of this. So yeah. He's incredible. He's an awesome director as well.
Yeah. Well, Kristina, I think the thing is, and you and I, in the time that we have been able to spend together on the radio over the years, you have been able to align yourself with some amazing projects. What I love about the work that you do, and it kind of ties in well with Kuleana, is that, I mean, no one really knows where they're going to see you next. I mean, you've been able to bring so many different types of characters to life. Is that part of the fun for you of being an actress?
I think so. I think I get bored really easily just in life. I have a coworker and good friends that we'll talk about the project we're involved in together in a little bit. His name is John Kirwan, and his joke with me is spin that wheel. It's like every day it's some new obsession or new interest, or I'm going to go here and study this or learn about this or launch this company. So yeah, I think I need to be constantly stimulated by new thoughts and ideas and have new projects going on.
Yeah. There are some people I have met, either, who are actors, Kristina, or even authors who have been received well in a certain way, and they kind of stay in that lane, like some who have been perceived bad guys, they kind of stay in that bad guy lane, some who have gotten to be known for writing certain type of work. How did the courage for you come about to say, you know what, even though people liked me as this character, I'm willing to stretch myself to try to do something different?
Well, I guess I don't give too much thought to what other people are thinking. I think to a certain degree, growing up in this industry, I've been acting since I was 16 years old. So in your teens, in your 20s, you are more concerned with what people think. But also, I was just concerned with booking work. And I didn't obviously, I picked and chose my projects somewhat, but I didn't care that much. I was kind of just interested in the artistic process that I was involved in. It didn't really matter what project I was involved in. It was more sort of self-focused. And as I've gotten older, it's obviously become more about what the project means and how the world is going to interpret that. And is it sending a positive message to the world? And is it doing something productive to the world? Am I spending my time wisely and contributing positively versus just, creating more fluff, or in the bad scenario, am I contributing to something an idea or concepts that I don't want to see propagated in the world. So obviously I try to eliminate as many of those as possible. And unfortunately, more and more, I think there's more progressive shows coming out, more progressive projects out there, but that's one of the reasons why I have moved more into producing and into creating my own projects. And I do think there needs to be just an abundance of women-driven, women behind the camera, women writing, and beyond the women, just positive, progressive, more conscious, I guess you'd say,
right,
stories out there. And as an actress, you don't have that much control. I mean, you can pick and choose, but to a certain degree, at the end of the day, you've got to work, and you might not always have a conscious project to be a part of, right? So, not that, there's consciousness that can be found in all sorts of things, but that is one of the reasons why I've moved more into producing now.
Right. And I think to tie in with that, Kristina, you mentioned being able to work with, the talented, producer and director with this project, Kuleana. Has that also been one of the added benefits for you? Not only do you love this, but you work with people who are just as passionate about it as you are. Yeah, I think that's what I'm most interested in, is who I'm working with, even more than what the project is. Obviously, whoever's involved in it is going to be not just a catalyst, but is going to be responsible for what the final project ends up like. So I think who is involved is much more important to me at this point, especially as I'm developing more projects and bringing people on and deciding who I want to work with. I've learned through the School of Hard Knocks, to not get involved with certain types of people and to definitely gravitate toward other types of people, and people like the director of Kuleana, Brian Cohn, and the host and my co-creator of the kids show, John Kirwan. You want to work with people that you're friends with and that you'd want to be friends with at the end of the day. For sure. And I think that's the big thing for people to be able to think about. For those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome back to our program today actress and entrepreneur Kristina Anapau. We're talking to her not only about her journey as an actor, but also what it's been like for her to do what she loves, and also the movie that's getting a lot of attention right now called Kuleana. We're going to remind you how you can be able to find out more information about the film a little bit later, as well as what's coming up next for Kristina. So, Kristina, let's talk about how you found out about Kuleana. How did this particular project come to you? Well, Brian Cohn and I met at the Big Island Film Festival back in 2011, and he had already been working on Kuleana for a few years. His film that he had just shot and was finished and in the festival won the Grand Jury Prize that year, and I was being honored with an achievement award, just kind of a basic acting achievement award. And I shouldn't say basic; that's like a bad word now, but like a general acting achievement award. And but was there part of the festival. Actually the festival is not going on anymore, but it was a really wonderful Big Island Film Festival. Yeah. And so we met and stayed in contact, and he asked if he could send me the Kuleana script, and I said of course. And the draft that I initially read was so different than the draft that we ended up shooting. It was probably 6 or 7 drafts ago, and but it was wonderful even then, and I knew that the message was so important and that the subject matter was so important, and I said yes, absolutely. I definitely want to be a part of this in any capacity. And so, just through the years since 2011, he'll send a new version of the script, and I think every time he sends a new version, this can't be any better than the last one that he sent. But every single time it was better, got better and better, and evolved. And initially it's funny. He was telling me that back 12 years ago, it started out as a comedy, which for anyone who watches, it's like, how could it possibly be a comedy? But so that's how much it's evolved through the years. But the character that I ended up portraying in the movie, Rose Coyle, wasn't even in the script that I initially read. So that sort of evolved. And the moment I read that version of the script with Rose in it, I was already excited to be a part of the project, but I got really, really excited because I think that the character of Rose and everything she goes through and everything she represents in the film was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to portray. Yeah, for sure. And, I want to go back to something that you mentioned, because I think creatives, no matter what they're doing, Kristina, they could learn from this. And you were talking about not allowing what other people say or think to define what you do and how you do it. I think that is so important. Do you also find that also liberates you? So when you do find a role like Rose in this film, that you don't have to give any second thought if you love it, knowing that this is something that you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely is very freeing, I think, and liberating. And I try to live my life that way. I love freedom as much as possible, and I try to not get involved in situations that are going to hinder that freedom in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Because it's one of my loves is freedom and to be really clear about things and I think having freedom and having that liberation to not care about what people think does help you to be clearer for yourself about what you want to do and why you want to do it, and it just keeps you on a much more direct path to what your purpose is.
For sure. Which ties into what you were just mentioning about the children's show. So tell us about that project and what we can expect from that, Kristina.
Well, the John Kirwan Kids Show, it is basically the Tonight Show for kids. And so we have all the stars of Disney and Nickelodeon, Netflix, and every network, basically. Young celebrities, young stars. They have these massive fan bases, but they're not quite big enough to be on Jimmy Fallon, or maybe they're too young, or there was a lack of opportunity, I thought, for them to have a glamorous late night style platform. It obviously doesn't air late at night because it's a kid's show, but it's that late night style platform where they can come out. There's kids in the audience who are their fans, and they get to high five them and sit down and be interviewed, Tonight Show style by John, who is a fantastic interviewer. And he used to he had a grown-up talk show for years, and I saw a few episodes of that, and we were friends, and I just thought, he's such a master of the interview. And we were just talking one day about ideas to evolve his show to another level. And I said, well, what about a kids show? And which was completely out of left field to a huge degree. But the more we talked about it, the more it seemed like it was a great idea. And we kind of started small, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And I mean, it's been airing nationwide on DirecTV. And now we're doing a bunch of deals for online streaming platforms. It's going to be on Amazon. It will be on Roku, Apple TV, basically the places that more of our demographic watches. Essentially, I mean, DirecTV is great and all, but as we all know, like not just kids, but ourselves included, we watch things on our computers and on our phones and on our iPads much more than we do on cable TV now.
For sure. That is so true. And I think, too, being able to feel a need, I think that's another great lesson for creatives. I mean, to look for those opportunities. There are so many people who will say, Kristina, and I know you've heard this, well, this market is saturated, or I just can't seem to break through doing this. I think being able to look for ways that you can do that, to be able to add something different, as you mentioned, with your friend being able to tap into his ability to give a great interview, to use that to be able to reach another audience. Audience is something we have not talked about, and so I think it's a great way for us to kind of tie everything together because of the work you've done, not only, of course, with television, with movies, with, as I said earlier, as an entrepreneur, you've been featured all over the place in magazines, and, the way that you've been profiled, your audience has really grown over the years. What has that been like for you to kind of reflect on the fact that there are people in so many different markets who know who you are?
I guess I don't think about that very much now. It's sort of scary to think about. I guess I'm confronted with the reality of that more now than I would have been before, just because of social media. I can't talk for some reason. Social media, and that level of transparency and interaction, and your fans can contact you directly, which I think is great. I don't think that's a bad thing whatsoever, but it definitely does make you more aware of your fans and what they're thinking and what they're feeling and whatnot. But I don't know. I guess I try not to think about it too much because I worry that would affect my creative flow and what I choose to do and how I choose to create, because maybe I'm going to be trying too hard to appeal to a certain demographic. But on the other hand, I think, like with the kids show, for instance, I think, the fact that I am an entrepreneur and have started businesses and have a lot of business sense outside of the film industry, that definitely helps me decide what projects to hone in on that are going to be marketable and monetizable to a certain degree. And it's a balance. I mean, you have to get creative fulfillment, obviously, but it's nice if you can make some money and do something that's going to be popular as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, too, to stay with social media for a moment, I mean, it's one of the ways, of course, that, all of us kind of connect with the world. I mean, that in itself, being able to control the narrative, I think is so important for yourself. Is that one of the things that you've kind of been able to enjoy about it as well, being able to share what you want to share with your audience the way you want to be able to share it?
Oh, absolutely. I love that term, control the narrative. I'm going to use that. I like to control the narrative of everything in life. So I think that was a natural progression for me in the creative realms as well. But yes, absolutely, being able to control the narrative, and not just for the sake of control, but just to, like I said earlier, to be able to control the quality of the content that's out there and the quality of everything, the quality of my ideas being put out into the world is key, because with filmmaking it is such a collaborative process, and definitely as an actor you have very little control over what the final result is, because there's so many people, editors and this and that and directors and studios, and and as a producer you do have a little more say over that. And it's just I have to say I love being in front of the camera, and I think my craft now is better than it's ever been as far as acting goes, but I'm also less interested in acting than I've ever been in my career, and much more interested in producing. And it's just interesting. I feel much more comfortable producing, I think, than I ever did acting. But even in my acting, going back to the entrepreneurial conversation, I think I was always an entrepreneur, even as an actor. You have to be as an actor to a certain degree. Of course, you can get lucky and you can get cast in some huge thing, and you can, your career can kind of evolve from there really quickly. But I think the people that have made lasting, long-term careers that they have a really positive influence, they do have that some sort of entrepreneurial quality to them, because they know how to market themselves, and they know what they need to control and what they need to keep how they need to keep their team kind of working toward a common goal is a really key thing as a successful actor, I think. I mean, the ones that I've known, I have a grasp on that, even if they don't know it or if they don't talk about it. They do have an entrepreneurial sense to them.
For sure. Since you were mentioning that about the producing aspect as well, I mean, it's one thing for you to be in front of the camera, Kristina, helping bring someone else's vision to life. But what is it like for you behind the camera to be able to do that same thing, like with the children's show, to be able to help someone being able to bring a vision to life that they believe in as well? Well,
I enjoy it a lot more, and I'm never bored now. I think as an actor I had a lot of downtime, which is natural, and you find ways to fill that, but you can never fully focus on something else if you're really trying to give 100% to creating whatever character you're doing, or being a part of that project. There's part of you that sort of, it's a weird limbo that you find yourself in, even if you're spending 10 hours in your trailer every day. You think, well, use that time to write a script, that you can't completely switch over. And I don't know if anyone except for actors who've been in that position can relate to that, but it's this weird limbo. And I think as a producer, there's absolutely no limbo. I mean, it's like full throttle all the time. It's like life during wartime. No one can afford to mess up, and I like functioning in that realm a lot better. It keeps me a lot more entertained and excited, and hearing about other people's projects and what they want to do and helping them bring those things to life. It's like being a genie. I mean, what could be more exciting than being a genie? Nothing.
Right. Exactly. I think that is so true. Again, everyone, Kristina Anapau has been our guest. Another great conversation with you. Kristina, we've been talking with her not only about her journey in front of the camera, but also what it's been like for her to produce and to create as well, helping to not only, of course, to bring her own dreams to life, but also the dreams and visions of others. Kuleana is a movie that we've been talking about that's out now. So, Kristina, let our audience know how they can stay connected with you and kind of keep up with what's coming up next for you.
It's at Kristina Anapau across all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm not that good of a tweeter. I'm going to try to get better at tweeting, but I'm a pretty good Instagrammer. I'm a pretty good Facebooker. And then Kuleana, I think the handles for Kuleana are all a little bit different, but the Facebook page is updated really regularly, and it's Kuleana-movie, so they can find out, where Kuleana is playing and the different. It's coming to a bunch of cities here in the continental United States, and it's already played at different places. I know it's having a big premiere next month, I think, at, I can't remember the name of the film festival, but it's a big film festival down near the Staples Center. So that's going to be a big event. But they're playing all over, and they can also go to hawaiicinema.com, which is the website of Brian's production company, and he has a bunch of information there. If they want to check it out, they can watch trailers, they can watch teasers, they can do all kinds of things.
All right, so make sure you'll definitely stay connected with Kristina and Kuleana as well. Kristina, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. It was always great speaking with you, and looking forward to our next conversation together.
Thank you so much.
Hey, you're more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late and missed part of the conversation with Kristina, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media sites. So head over to facebook.com/Cyrus Webb or go to twitter.com/Cyrus Webb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You all make it a great one.